Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for having this hearing. I think this is an important hearing at a time when it will really matter. Madam Secretary, the goal, I guess, this time around is to fix a broken immigration system in a way that 20 years from now we won't have 11 or 12 million illegal immigrants. Isn't that the goal? To fix
Yes.
it? I think the country's tired of talking about it. I think it's time for us to fix it with a goal in mind that there will be no third wave of illegal immigration. To put it in context, we're not being overrun by Canadians, are we?
Not as far as I can tell.
Well, not as far as I can tell either. I love our Canadian friends. They come to Myrtle Beach in March.
They come to Arizona, too.
They do. They swim. I don't know why in March, but they seem to enjoy that, and they go back home. And I would suggest that they go back home because Canada's got a stable government and a stable economy, and most of the people coming here are coming from pretty dire situations, and that's just a reality that a lot of people come to this country because where they live is not so nice. Do you agree with that?
Yes, or their opportunity to raise a family and to thrive economically is diminished.
I can understand why people want to come to America, but I don't understand why we can't control who comes and on what terms. And I think we can if we choose to. Starting with the border, do you agree with me that you've got to have a secure border, because if you have a bunch of other laws and you can still walk across the street in the country, you're probably not going to accomplish your goal.
I think we can all agree that border security has to be part of a comprehensive plan.
I think that's the starting point, and I want to applaud you for making progress. You certainly have. There are 9 sectors that we've laid out in terms of our borders. What I'd like from your organization, your department, is an inventory of what we can do that we haven't yet done in 1 through 9. Give us a punch list, and let's see if we can push this thing over the line and say the border is reasonably secure. So would you provide the committee, if you could, with a kind of an inventory of what is yet to be done that could reasonably be done in all 9 sectors?
Yes, we'll work with you on that.
And do you also, I agree with you that you could build a 100-foot high wall, and if you're getting a job pretty easily on the other side of the wall, people go under it or over it or around it. So really, E-Verify, controlling employment, is a virtual fence all of its own, isn't it?
I think it is, yes.
I just don't see how you could ever solve this problem if you don't deal with the magnet, which is jobs. If we can't come up with a system where our employers can tell the difference between somebody here legally and illegally, we're never going to address this problem. So one of the key components is employer verification. Do you agree with that?
I agree, and I would suggest, Senator, that the E-Verify system now is far different from the E-Verify system.
We're moving in the right direction, but put yourself in an employer situation. If you ask too many questions, like a Social Security card is pretty easily duplicated. If you like Ronald Reagan, I could make you Ronald Reagan by midnight. I could give you a Social Security card saying you're Ronald Reagan. We need to deal with that, and I think we're well on our way of doing it. So employer verification, and employers who cheat need to be hit hard. Do you agree?
That's right, and the current law doesn't give us the tools to do that.
Well, you're going to get those tools, and those employers who are trying to do the right thing, you got to be frustrated by your own government. We're going to give you some help. So temporary workers. The one thing the president didn't mention last night was a temporary worker program. If I had to bet where this thing could run into a real roadblock, it wouldn't be on the pathway to citizenship as long as it's earned. It's not a special pathway. It won't be on border security because we're all signed up for that. I think E-Verify, some kind of new system to control employment, we're all signed up for that. But here's the friction point. Temporary workers are needed in the future, a legal source of labor for American employers. Do you agree with that?
Yes, that concept is one I can agree with.
Well, and the goal is not to displace an American worker. You can only get a temporary worker when there's no American available at a competitive wage.
The devil is in the details. You've got to have appropriate protections for American workers and indeed for workers who are coming into work.
And nobody wants to displace a willing American worker, but I can tell you in South Carolina there are certain jobs, like in the meatpacking industry, as an employer you can advertise all day long, every day of the week, and you're not going to get that workforce. And I don't want those meatpacking plants to leave the country. I want it to be a win-win where somebody overseas can come here temporarily, improve their life, and help our employers. Do you agree with that?
I agree with that, yes.
Okay, so that is one of the goals, a temporary worker program that will meet the labor needs of this country. And demographically, we're changing. There are 3 workers for every Social Security retiree today. In 20 years, there'll be 2. Do you agree with me that the demographics of America are changing and that we're going to need a more robust legal immigration system?
Yes, and as I mentioned in my opening statement, it is part of economic growth.
Just say yes, because
I'll say yes. This is a good cross-examination. This is a good cross-examination.
Say no when you need to.
All right.
The bottom line here is it's not just the high-tech workers. God knows we're going to need, if you go to a University of South Carolina or Clemson University graduation, if Bob Smith comes across the stage in a PhD program, everybody claps because there's only one. We're getting people from all over the world coming to our universities, and that's a good thing. Do you agree with me that they should not only get a PhD in some kind of hard science, they should get a green card with that PhD?
Assuming no security issues, crime issues, yes.
And assuming they're not displacing an American worker. We're losing a lot of valuable people. Just give me a little bit more time here, Mr. Chairman. So the bottom line is...
And then we're going to, as soon as you get this one last question, we'll go to Senator Franken, and then we're going to the next panel.
I can do this in 30 seconds. Have you ever seen a better opportunity than the moment that exists today to pass comprehensive immigration reform that would prevent a third wave?
No, this is the moment.
Do you agree with me that the payoffs for the nation are enormous? We improve our national security, we improve our economy, and we deal with real people who have real problems, and we're trying to give them a second chance on our terms, and some of the people we're going to say you got to leave because you've been up to no good. Do you agree that the payoffs of fixing this broken immigration system are enormous for the country?
I couldn't say it better than you just did.
Thank you.